In the last video, we introduced you to the topic of executive productivity, which is the second step in our 5-step strategic planning process. We encourage you to use this process every quarter, and we'll be saying more about that as we go along. But last video, we introduced you to the 5 ways to gain leverage, and that's part 1 in executive productivity. We want you as a business owner and an executive leader to work on gaining leverage. By gaining leverage, you can accomplish more in less time and with less energy. There are 3 other components to executive productivity that we want to talk about in this particular video, and I'm going to summarize them for you here, but we did a more in-depth webinar where we addressed these 3 components of executive productivity, and if you have not seen that webinar, it is available to you. Just click on the button by this video and you can see that and gain that information. And I encourage you, if you haven't done that, do that, and then this is going to be a summary of that. If you've already seen our webinar, you'll find this particular video probably all you need to refresh your memory and to add to the work that you've been doing. So in this, let's talk about 3 more keys to executive productivity. Number 1 is to declutter. Clutter happens to all of us. We get clutter in our life, we get clutter in our office, we get clutter on our desk, we get clutter everywhere. It just seems to happen, and we don't intend for it to, but it happens, and it's more for some of us than others. But everybody has to address the challenge of clutter. Now you may say, what is clutter exactly? Well, it may be physical clutter. It may be that clutter on your desk, that clutter in your garage, that clutter in your office, that clutter in your car, the stuff, the physical stuff that you need to clean up. And you might say, why is that important? Here's why. Clutter is insidious because it takes away our energy and we don't even know it. I promise you, if you will focus on decluttering, as you get clutter cleared out of your space and out of your business and out of your life, you will breathe easier. You will discover you have more energy. You will be able to focus better. I promise you, getting rid of clutter is crucial to improving your productivity as a business owner and as an executive. So look for that physical clutter. But it's more than just physical clutter. It may be emotional clutter. Maybe they're broken relationships. Maybe there's tension in relationships that you need to address. This is emotional and mental clutter that can consume your energy. And again, you don't realize it's happening until you clean it up. And you go, wow, this is amazing. So look for the physical clutter, look for the mental and emotional clutter in your life. A new category of clutter that we have to deal with now is digital clutter. Think about your inbox for your email. Most business owners I know do not have a very good system for managing emails and managing the clutter in their inbox. And so you probably need to address that type of clutter. Look at your digital files. Are they well organized? You want things in your life and in your business to be well organized and efficient because that's important for you to be able to increase your productivity. So think about it. What clutter comes to your mind today? As we're talking about this, you've probably had some things go off in your mind that you go, oh yeah, I need to address this. I need to deal with that. And prioritize it. And every quarter, I want you to take time to think about this and declutter. That's step 1. Step 2, I want to give you, or key number 2 that I want to give you today, it has to do with habits. We all have habits. In fact, we have some good habits that help us in our business and in our life. First, I want you to think about what are some of the good habits. Maybe you've got some habits that you say, this really serves me well. I have a habit of following up with people. I have a habit of nurturing relationships. I have a habit of getting up early every morning and getting important things done. There are probably several habits that you have that serve you well in business and life. And so I want you to identify those and celebrate those and leverage those as much as you can. But there are also probably some habits that do not serve you well. We call those bad habits. And it could be anything from neglecting relationships to not following up on calls to not organizing your files or your tools. It can be anything. I want you to think about what is one habit I really should change or improve this quarter. Identify it. And I wanted to introduce you to a concept that Charles Duhigg developed in his book, The Power of Habit. He calls it the habit loop. And the habit loop looks like this. It begins with a cue. Something triggers a behavior, an action on your part. And then it leads to a routine. And the routine is whatever that habit is. And you keep doing it. Even though it's a bad habit or an unproductive habit, you keep doing it because it gives you some kind of reward, some kind of gratification or satisfaction. And Duhigg identified those three components as the habit loop: cue, routine, and reward. And you see them on the diagram here. These are the things you want to think about when you're working to develop a new habit. And again, we deal with this and develop it more in the webinar, so if you haven't seen that, look at that. What I want you to do is think about one new habit you want to create this quarter and ask yourself, what's the cue that triggers this? And then what's the new routine that I want to start following? And the most challenging part of this is to identify the reward, because sometimes the reward is psychological, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's a reward that we don't even recognize until we analyze it. But there's something that satisfies you that keeps you doing this same bad habit over and over and over again. So identify one new habit that you want to create, identify the cue, routine, and reward, and write that down and start working on it. In fact, in the next video, we're going to introduce you to our 90-day strategic planner, our quarterly planner. And it'll have a place there for you to write these things down. So be sure to take these notes, and then as you watch the next video, you'll be able to fill in your planner and write this out for you as a roadmap for the next 90 days. So the three keys today are: number one, declutter. Number two, develop better success habits. And again, I encourage you to work on one new habit every 90 days. And then the third key is your daily process. It's important that you have a time, either at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, that you process your day. And there are 5 or 6 things that you need to do in your daily process. Number one, you need to review your goals. And again, in the next training video, we're going to help you start filling out your planner. And so you'll want to review your planner, and particularly your goals. And then think about, is there something I need to do today? Now remember, this daily process is something you do every day. I like to do it in the mornings, first thing every morning. And so I review my goals in my planner and ask, what do I need to do today? And I write it down. And then the second step is to review your calendar. Look at your calendar for the day, your appointments, your commitments. Look at your calendar for the upcoming week and ask yourself, what do I need to do today? Maybe there's something you need to prepare for. Maybe there's some resources you need to gather for a meeting. But think about it. What do you need to do in relation to your calendar? The third thing you need to do in your daily process is to look at your master to-do list. I encourage everybody to keep a master to-do list where you write down every to-do you can think of, personal and business, because you don't want that stuff in your mind. When I hear people say, oh, I don't want to forget such and such. Well, the way you not forget it is write it down. Because if you don't write it down, you're going to worry and you're going to think about it, and it's going to take energy and it's going to inhibit your productivity. I promise you it will. So create a master to-do list, and every time you think about a new task or to-do item, put it on there so you don't have to remember it. I like what David Allen said in his book, Getting Things Done. He said, your head was made for creativity, not storage. So don't consume your energy and your resources in storing data and information, use it for creativity. And then the next step is, once you do that, you've reviewed your goals, you've reviewed your calendar, you've reviewed your master to-do list, identify those few critical things that you must do today. I call this your must-do today list. And it should probably be only a few things. And then once you identify them, estimate how much time each of them will take, and then put them on your calendar as an appointment with yourself. And then the final step in your daily process is review your affirmations to keep your mindset focused on abundance, on possibilities, and on the things that you want to accomplish. So work on your decluttering, work on new success habits, and start practicing your daily process. And if you want more detail and information about this, be sure to click on and watch the webinar on this topic.